the beginning, stock cars outran the police to deliver the hooch to our ancestors. So sweet. Are you ready for a trip down victory lane, where Richard Petty's winnings were insane and Dale Earnhardt put everyone to shame? Canadian Junior Handley is in the Hall of Fame. Live from Haldeman County, it's time for the Driver in Deep podcast. Are you ready?
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us for another episode of Driver in Deep, brought to you by wingnutsports.com. Mark here along with Alex, and our guest today is Ontario racer Rick Spencer-Walt. As we will hear, Rick is a very accomplished racer in his own right, and from what I understand, he'll have a few interesting stories too.
I'm sure he will. And, you know, it's nice, Mark, to get somebody on that's somewhat local, at least to us. We've had guys, you know, or girls that have been fairly close to us, but they've raced different series full time, or, you know, they're from the U.S. or wherever. But a guy like Rick, he races all the specials in Ontario. He's won a bunch of them. He races weekly also, which I don't think we've had a weekly racer, except for Carson, my nephew, you know, on the show. So looking forward to having Rick join us today. But, you know, quickly before we get started, we'd like to remind everybody to join us online on our Facebook page. Just search for Wingnut Sports and like our page so you can get all the updates.
That's right. And if you're on our Facebook page, you'll see what we've been up to lately, having a little bit of fun with each other and everybody in the group. And because it's Wingnut Sports, it's not all motorsports. And I'm just going to leave that at that. And also both Twitter and Instagram, you can find us at Wingnut Sports, or check out our website at wingnutsports.com, where you'll need to check the show notes for each episode.
Yeah, and finally, if you're a YouTube fan, search for Wingnut Sports and subscribe to our channel. Just a thought on that. One of our guests, Canada Joe Plazik, popular and famous dirt racer from Caister Center, he posted our YouTube of his interview on his Facebook page. And we got a bunch of new listeners from that, so it was nice, and they've really enjoyed it. They've made some great comments. Wow,
that's great. I wasn't sure why all of a sudden his numbers popped so much, but that's awesome. And all of our podcasts are there, every single one that we've done from the beginning. And I know that we've said this before, or I've said this before, and there is some new content that is going to include video coming before the end of the year.
Yeah, this may be the end of things for us, buddy.
Well, what if we take the focus off us and we include maybe some pit lizards, or here's a hint. How about some disc divas, Alex?
I know you've just recently learned about, you know, what a pit lizard is, but so now what, you're calling our wives disc divas?
Well, I wasn't speaking of our wives. I kind of just made that up. But since you mentioned it, do you have any better words to describe our wives?
Let's move on. I'm smarter than that.
Yeah, I figured that. And anyway, sure. You know, I hate that we missed making an episode last week, but that's going to happen from time to time. And anyway, why don't you tell me what's been going on since I was away, other than I know you already know, the Sabres being 2-0 to start the hockey season.
Well, we're recording this show earlier in the week here, and I'm pretty sure by the time this plays, there's a good chance it'll be 2-2. But whatever, man. It's way too early to be pumping anybody's tires. But their decent home start couldn't have come at a better time. You know, obviously they have no pressure on them, it seems like.
What are you talking about, Alex? I think any professional sports, all these athletes have pressure.
Scooter, when you can only draw 8,000 fans to what is supposed to be a super duper hockey market, it just goes to show you how much of a dumpster fire. And that term, with some private messages we got from one of our listeners, Kevin Gooder, I think he sent you about 50 fires of dumpster fires all around the Buffalo Sabres arena. So listen, the Sabres have been to dumpster fire and have been for several years, and I'm sure that's why they're 8,000 fans.
Well, you guys like to throw,
figured it out.
You guys like to throw that dumpster fire term around, but I believe Kevin is an Edmonton Oilers fan, So you really can't say much about anything they've done in the last number of years.
The good thing about it is, see, it's not just me, buddy. You say I'm the super fan, Leaf fan guy, and here's an Oilers fan, and he's still telling you the same stuff. Dude, wake up. Wake up. It's okay. They're a shit show.
Well, listen, I know that it's okay if you guys feel that way, because that means you're worried about us. And as far as the 8,000 fans you referred to, I really did think you're smarter than that. And I know you realize there's thousands of Canadian season ticket holders and fans that can't attend games now because of the border closure. And not only that, when the border does reopen on November the 8th, the Canadian government's still requiring that stupid $150 PCR test just to return back to Canada, which is ridiculous. And obviously, Ottawa's too far for most fans in the Niagara region to travel to see any good NHL hockey.
Whatever. Listen, you're the only fan in Ontario that I know is a Sabres fan. And if they're a hockey town, why do they have to depend on us? Listen, you know it's okay to just admit that it's an 8-year work in progress. They prove it and prove it and prove it. You'll feel better once you just say it, man.
Well,
and anyway, listen, moving right along.
I just want to know how many playoff series the Leafs have won in the last 8 years.
What's it got to do with the Leafs?
Just curious.
About the Sabres.
I'm just curious.
I don't know. I'm talking about the Sabres.
All right, keep going.
You want to talk about your super duper Bills?
The Bills are super duper, but listen,
they make out on Monday night.
We have a few other things to talk about. And as far as the Bills are concerned, I'll just say that was a great game. The Bills came up on the wrong side of it, and that's not a bad thing. You cannot win the Lombardi Trophy in Week 6.
Well, you got the Sabres winning the Cup in Week 2.
You know what? They're still undefeated, so let's just go from there.
Yeah, but anyways, listen. While you're away, do you want to talk about any of the extra special duties that you had going on during your trip?
Are you referring to the Miss America Latina beauty contest that was held last week in Punta Cana? Because that's the one, I believe, where Yodani Navarro from Venezuela was crowned El Ganadora, which means winner in English.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, no, I don't want to talk about that.
No what? What do you mean?
I don't want to talk about it.
Are you afraid Joni's going to listen to this podcast?
Well, no, I'm not afraid she's going to listen to it. I just prefer to leave that one on the table.
Did you send her the same videos you sent me?
There was no videos.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay, listen, it sounds like you're working like a dog down there. But, while you're away, so-called working, I was able to take in Flamborough Speedway, flew our colors for, on your behalf at Frostoberfest. Big weekend, their finale, which is a great end of season event at Flamborough. And Rick Walt was there, actually. He raced a Pro Late model in the 100-lap race, and I believe he finished 4th, first time he sat in that car. Did a nice job. It's a tough field of Pro Late models. Won by former driver and deep guest, J.R. Fitzpatrick. It was a 3-race series. That was the final of the 3 for the Grisdale Triple Crown, and Shea Gemmell ended up winning the Grisdale Triple Crown, which was cool. Superstock winner was Lane Zardo. Our boy Carson finished 3rd. John Cadman with a brand new junior handle late model that he raced all year and had tons of bad luck, ended up breaking through and winning the Outlaw Super Late Model race, which was great. And James Houghton brought home his bone stock and won the bone stock race. So it was a really nice job by everybody. And Flamborough Speedway and the staff did a great job. They battled rain all day. 3 rain delays. So it was really cool that they just stuck with it. And it's a great event. Listen, Grisdale Racing Products is a sponsor along with London Recreational Racing and Mike Smith. And I just want to thank all those folks for a great, entertaining day of racing. Last one around here for a while.
Yeah, you know what? I am kind of bummed that I missed that. It sounds like it was a great time. And you said you were flying our flag. Does that mean you gave out any of our new stickers?
Maybe a couple.
Did you? Well, if anybody else would like a driver and deep sticker for their car, just give us a shout out and we'd love to get you one. Anyway, it sounds like I missed a good one, like I said, but work priorities, Alex. But how about we get to our guest?
Sounds like a plan. Hey, Ricky, welcome to Driver and Deep. Nice to have you on with us, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Nice meeting Mark for the first time, and should have a good time here.
Yeah, I know we have some great stories coming, Rick, but before we get to them, I need to clear the air here on something and ask you about your Instagram handle, Driver and Deep 31. Alex tells me that you're a little pissed at us for stealing the name.
Funny enough, I'm on a podcast with you guys called Driver in Deep, but no, the name was kind of just about, you driver in deep in racing all the time, and just added the number to it. But when I seen the podcast, I was kind of chuckling because my buddy Robbie Sykes had messaged me, and he said we should get a podcast together. We'd call it Driver in Deep.
Oh, no, that was for Alex. Well, listen, we missed you by one episode because you're going to be on episode 32. And since you're Driver in Deep 31, your car number, we should have had you on the last episode.
I think,
32, that's great. I'm just kidding.
I think it was Robbie that approached me at Sunset and said, Ricky's pissed that you stole this handle from Instagram. I'm like, dude. I said, Ricky don't Driver in Deep, does he?
Oh, here we go.
Just go easy so you can be hired out.
You know what he said to me?
What's that?
I don't know. Go ask Danielle.
Just that I heard that from the other room. I hope that's in there. That sounds that's perfect.
Anyways, listen, Mark was out of town last weekend, so we actually didn't record last week. He was away on business, but I was telling him about Frostoberfest at Flamborough, and you put a deal together with Mike McColl and your partners. You can touch on those partners if you want, but driving one of his Pro Late Model cars, and man, you had a good run. It was fun to watch. You did a hell of a job, and I think you ended up fourth.
Yeah, we finished fourth there. Well, I can be mad at Robbie. Never mind the podcast name, because he put my window net up, or didn't put my window net up. I think I held it up for about 3 laps there, still trying to pass. I was battling with Burbage for a bit there, and I was like, I don't know, I can't keep driving around here holding this thing up. It slapped me in the face down the straightaway with the wind coming through. So I was like, I pulled over there and caused the caution no one likes to see, but I kind of had no choice. I couldn't see where I was going if I wasn't holding on to the thing. So, yeah, we went down pit road and got he said, I'll meet you down on pit road. He knew. He put the window net back up and went back. He's a hell of a spotter for me, and he got me through a lot of stuff getting back up through there. And it was a lot of fun. Mike and Paulie gave us a good car, and we were able to go back to fourth. So it was a awesome run, fun car to drive.
Well, I mean, you've dabbled in the Pro Late Model stuff, and I think it was 18. You ended up winning an APC race at Sunset. And listen, there's no easy win in an APC race. So I know you've raced a bunch of different stuff, but man, every time you're in a Pro Late Model, you seem to run really good. Well, you run good in anything, but they're no different.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. When you get against the better competition, it raises your level a bit too. And I've raced a lot of tracks where the competition was, 3 and 4 guys, not 15 guys. So I get a chance to get in a Pro Late. I want to show what I have every single time I get in it. And usually we're ending up in a Watson car, and he's winning a lot of races. And well, it's not always the same circumstances for me. And, Brandon's a hell of a wheelman too, and it's fun just to drive some stuff that he's been in. But that car we were in was actually Sheridan. Ellis ran it this year a couple times, I think, at Sauble in that race. And then Sheridan ran that the last few races at Delaware after he wrecked his car up. So it was, it wasn't one Brandon had been in a while. So when I got in it, there was, I don't fit in anything. I'm 6 foot. I try to get in these cars and I just don't fit. So I had Pritico's seat in there, which is the tallest guy in APC, as most people know. And it was still, my ribs are bruised this week, and I got bruises and sores in my neck. Just nothing fits me exactly how it should. So I'm excited for next year. It looks like we're trying to do something with Mike here and get something going, sponsorship dependent, obviously. But looking to get into the APC. We want to run it full time next year, and then that gives me all them weekends off for Jake and his junior late, and just doing some more family stuff on those weekends off. So it's just looks like a better schedule for us to run for a year here or so and see what happens.
Well, speaking of bruises and sores, it's unfortunate that I missed Flamborough on the weekend, but I did see a video of you and Alex's brother Jim, who I now refer to as Teabag. Oh boy. I think that was from Peterborough Speedway a couple of weeks ago at the Autumn Color. And I will say, if the racing that weekend was as good as the party, I really did miss a good one. Can you elaborate on that for us, Rick?
Don't lie, Rick, because I'll share the video.
Well, I had a few beers.
What?
A few whiskey. We had a few of everything, I think, going, and we had a good party. I think people know I like to party, so we had a pretty good fire going all weekend. Corey McAllister and his guys were there. My older brother Jeff was there with one of his buddies. Another good friend of mine, Chris Tripp, was there. Just a bunch of good guys, and it was a party. And well, Jimmy Boy rolled around because he seen the fire rolling there. Looking else had a good fire going, and he was a few whiskeys deep, so he was, I don't like this guy over here, and I don't like that guy over here. And I was like, well, just relax. We'll just have a good time tonight. So anyways, we were standing over. We had the music cranked up there, and Lane Zardo came in and started putting some dance moves down like he usually does. He's a pretty good dancer, so he's flipping his hat around, doing some funny stuff. So Jimmy Lane does the worm, and Jimmy's standing there, and he's looking around. Next thing you know, he does a belly flop on the ground. I don't think he had any air for his worm or anything. And so while he was doing that, I was down there twerking on him, giving him the old peep. And then it turned doing a bit of a strip piece for my wife. So it was
boy. Teabag it is.
Yeah. And so you used to call my brother Jim, but now you seem to be calling him Jimmy.
Jimmy Boy.
Yeah, well, I went by Ricky my whole life, and once I matured enough, I lost the Y, so I figured I'd back.
You lost it? You lost the Y?
Well, I started Rick. I don't want to be called Ricky anymore. That's like a little boy, you know. Rick's a little more mature, so I went with Rick. A lot of people still call me Ricky, but Jim is now Jimmy for sure.
Fair enough. Hey, listen, like so many of us in motorsports, Rick, sorry. You've had family involved in your racing program, and I know for a fact your grandpa was instrumental in getting you started with, I believe at the time at Barrie Speedway, it was with an old Mustang. Tell us all about your start there.
Yeah, my brother was racing, and when he turned 14, he got my grandpa's late model. And
listen, he was the chosen one, right? Jeff?
Well, there's some golden boots around there somewhere. No, you know what? He was just the one that he was of age. He was that could go racing. And so he got this late model and the kid van and everything. And I always say I wasn't jealous, but let's be honest, that's my older brother. I'm pretty jealous. I want the same stuff, right? And I think your nephews probably go through that too right now. They want, each brother wants to do well. And so my grandpa said to me I think I was 11 or 12. I think I was 11 turning 12. And he said, "You want to race or what?" And I said, "Oh yeah, of course I want to race." So he said, "Well, go down back and pick a Mustang." He wouldn't let me get anything but a rear wheel drive. And at the time, Mustangs at Barrie Speedway were kind of dominant. So he told me to go get one of them out of the backyard. So our deal was I could work on it in the shop, but like every, person my age, their grandparents are pretty hard ass. So if that thing wasn't cleaned up in the morning, everything was in the scrap pile. So the shop was swept, the car was cleaned up, and it was down back. And so one day I went into the shop. Actually, quick little story about this. So I go into the shop and I cleaned everything up. My grandpa was crushing cars all day down back, and I go down back and I'm looking for my car. I just stripped this thing, like put in hours of work and scraping the sound barrier stuff off the floor that they put in these things. And it's not everyone who's built one knows what I'm talking about. So I get this thing cleaned up. I go looking for it. It's gone. So I went and asked him, and he was nearly in tears because he realized he crushed the wrong one. So he crushed it. So the next one I got was a rot bucket. We ended up having to cut frame rails and put 2x3 rails in it and everything else. So anyways, I was 11 or 12 and went to the racetrack. The doors welded shut, nothing special. I didn't have no money or nothing. I wasn't spoiled by Grandpa. He made me work for every single thing I had. They bought me, my grandma bought me the roll cage and the fuel cell from CSC at the time, and then took it out of my pays to pay for it back. So I worked for everything I had in that car, and I had some help. My mom helped me out a lot at the time before I met Danielle, and we got together when I was about 17. So I was still running mini stock and stuff at that point. And at that point, her and I just kind of we started doing our own thing. But up until then, you know, my grandpa helped me get to the track and stuff like that. And I never, you know, he never was the guy to come down and tell you how to drive. He just expected you to know how to drive because he did. So, you know, no disrespect in any way to my grandpa, but he just wasn't a coach. He was just a kick you in the ass guy. So when you turn somebody out there, he was the first guy telling you screwed up or you're the one who wrecked them. And you know what race car drivers are like. It's never our fault. So my grandpa comes down, he's telling me I'm an idiot because I'm turning the guy or something. So you learn pretty quick. I think, you know, I still rough people up to get by them when you have to. But at that point, you know, I went from wherever I started at Flamborough and Prolate to the front, and we're talking about Flamborough, and I got a bit of damage from just a caution early in the race. Somebody checked up and I couldn't get checked up. But other than that, we went to the front with no damage the whole time. So it's stuff he taught me there. And, you know, Barrie Speedway was a lot of fun back in the day. And, you know, guys, Tommy ran there for years. Baker was there. Vic Parsons was there. Donnie Hahn was there. I got to watch a lot of, you know, Reynolds, tons of guys with so much talent for a lot of years. That was the cream of the crop was Barrie Speedway, and it was rocking. And, you know, that's probably where I learned to party too. We'd party until I would take my car home, drive back to the track and party till the sun come up and then go back home. So a lot of fun around there.
So back then it was Ricky.
Yeah.
You know, Alex and I have talked about this with so many of our guests that you've all had similar paths to motorsports, and now it looks like you're helping get your kids started as well.
Yeah, I think most of the time I'm talking about him a lot more than I am myself anymore, which is, you know, it's fun to do. I could quit tomorrow and be happy with what I've done in racing and just go on to, you know, helping him be better, be a better person, be better at the racetrack, be better than I was. And that's, you know, that's what I want to see because he's a good kid and everyone knows that. I want him to he has the talent. He just needs to put it all together. And that's what I'm hopefully here for, is to help him put everything together. And if he can put everything he's got together, he'll be better than I ever was.
Yeah, listen, I coached a lot of hockey, man. And one thing I learned is you can't push him. He'll find his path. He's a good kid. I like spending time with him, and he's got talent for sure, but he's young. And you know what? He'll find his way. I think I've seen so many parents push their kids beyond enjoying it. I know I'm not saying you're going to do that, but if I can give you a tip, I'd give you that tip, man. And, you know, speaking of, you mentioned earlier about Ricky, maybe this was not the time to bring this up, but I'm thinking back, man, when we first met, and as people can tell now, we're buddies, but we first met, and really was a phone call because I was a director at NASCAR, and we were at Kawartha Speedway, and I get a radio message from our spotter official that Walt and somebody from the 74 car, they're pushing, shoving, going back at it, yelling at each other. Anyways, I got it under control, blah, blah, blah. It's all good. You know, I just got to watch them. Anyways, thought, okay, we're good. We're clear. Everything's going to settle down. Race is over. I think you're spotting for Baker, weren't you? For Dwayne. And anyways, we get down, walking down to the track afterwards, and I was a bit late coming down from the tower and getting things tidied up there. And next thing you know, there's a huge scuffle on pit lane. And next thing you know, also after that, wasn't too long after that, there's an ambulance coming in. It wasn't for you. I remember that. Anyways, apparently it never got settled up in the spotter stand. And as it turns out, you know, our first real conversation with each other, I know we knew of each other, but we never really had a chance to meet, was me trying to chase you down up by the phone call on it with a phone, trying to tell you you're suspended from NASCAR, which, you know, making a call, man, it sucks. It sucks to be in that position, I can tell you. And I hated to make that call, but, you know, you couldn't even race at Sunset that following year because that was the end of the season at Kawartha. And following year, you couldn't race at Sunset because it was a NASCAR sanctioned home track. So, you know, it took that luxury away from me as well. I think you ended up going to Peterborough that year and running for the season and won the championship. So maybe all in all, it wasn't that bad. But anyways, that was the first time we talked, and as I figured, it wouldn't be the last, and here we are today.
Yeah, it's been a long road to accept you as a friend, I'll tell you. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, yes. Yeah, it never really got settled in the spotter stand. And you know what? I was content with nothing happening. But when I went down to the pits, I don't really want to get too far into detail because it's,
No.
fun. It's over. I was young, but it's also, not a good time in my life to be suspended from NASCAR. Let me tell you, 'cause I'm pretty competitive, as everyone knows. So yeah, I went down to the pits and we were in the infield by pit road, and Baker had gone over to yell at Lacroix. And when I got over there, they all had him circled. So they obviously wanted me out of there and knew what was going on. So I just said I wasn't going nowhere until my driver came out of the circle. And then some shoving happened to the right and some shoving happened in front, and then some fists were thrown and ambulances came. So that's all I'm really say about it. But I had a little cut on my finger. That's what I had.
Yeah, I didn't see you over at the ambulance getting a Band-Aid.
No, he was wondering where I changed my clothes, but I was still wearing the same ones because if you remember, the infield was flooded that day.
That's right.
There was mustard and ketchup floating down pit lane. It was so flooded, so there was a lot of stuff going on for sure. But no, that was not maybe a highlight of my career. It is for other people to talk about a lot of the time, but for me, I definitely missed out on a full season of really competitive racing down at Sunset, which we had, we were obviously planning on going down there full steam. And we had bought a new car and just obviously not the direction I wanted to go. We went to Peterborough with a very good piece that we had actually bought from Dwayne Baker at Autumn Colors that year. And I guess we had really limited options of where we were going to go because of the NASCAR sanctioning in Ontario. We couldn't go to those tracks, so we ended up over at Peterborough, and there was still some competition over there. Amanda Balson was really good that year, fun running against. McCaddy was there on and off. Chris Mitchell was really good. Came down to the last night in points against Chris Mitchell. A lot of my points championships they've all come down to, like last night, we don't just walk away with stuff. We struggle here and there too. Like, yeah, we're winning races, but most of my championships, I've tied for two of them now, almost three. It was definitely, I tied for two of them, one with Dave Doucette in the Super Stocks at Barrie Speedway. And then I tied Joe Lawrence in the Great Lakes deal and won that because of wins. So it's been fun, but it's pretty stressful stuff when you get down the end of the year there.
Yeah, for sure. So like I say, I like to think I helped you out by getting that Peterborough championship, but I think I've told you this. When I realized I was going to be leaving NASCAR for my next move in my career, I called down to Daytona and I said, man, I got to get Ricky reinstated before I leave and get this thing over with. And I did do that. And it was something I really wanted to do before I give my resignation, just to get you back. As you served your time. It was a penalty. Listen, like you said, it's all water under the bridge. But one thing I was happy about was being able, I'm not saying you would have never been reinstated, but I just wanted to make that right before I left, and worked out pretty good.
No, I appreciated that more than anything in the world, because really it could have been years down the road. I was on conference calls weekly because I was pretty pissed off. So I'm trying to get myself back in and explaining, my side of the story. No one wanted to hear my side of anything. And it was kind of a rough deal. I had a pretty sour spot for Pinty's at that time too, because there were some, officials that weren't truthful with some of the things that had happened. It was a one-sided deal where I ended up suspended. The other guy wanted to fight me. Everyone knew that. He tried fighting me, and I'm the one that ended up with a year off. So did I have a sour spot? Sure. I was pretty pissed off about the whole thing, to be honest, just because of, what had really gone on. But being reinstated that day when I got the call that I was allowed to go back was funny, because it was that exact year later and we were going back to Kawartha and I was spotting for Baker again. So.
That's right. I think Baker called me, said, Nagy, I need a spotter.
Yeah. What's that?
I think Baker called me, said, Nagy, what's going on? I need a spotter.
Yeah, he did. I can't go a spotter because I spot for Baker everywhere. I love being on the radio for people, and that's another thing I love doing outside of just driving myself, is being on a radio for people. So I remember our meeting. You said, when I got reinstated, but you had to meet with me before that race, and we had that meeting in the NASCAR hauler there and talked. And I was like, well, I just want to race. Like, I'm over it too. Like, when I fight, I was raised pretty old school. Like I said about my grandpa, he's a hard ass, but my grandpa would get out of the car and punch anyone in the face. But, an hour later, he's having beers with them. And that's unfortunately how I was raised, So I get mad and I want to fight somebody, but you come apologize and I still got a big heart, man. I'm still going to, all right, well, it is what it is. And there's tons of people out there I've got into it with, but you put me in a room with all of them right now and I'll drink beers with them, have a good time, tell stories, laugh about some of this stuff.
I didn't fight with you, but man, you're drinking beers with me, so it's all good.
Hey, Rick, I know you've won a lot of races and track and series championships, and you're still, only in your early 30s, but you're entering veteran status at this point. Do you feel it's on you to give back to some now, whether it's helping out other racers or maybe even giving track operators your view on different things, good or bad?
Yeah, everyone knows I'm pretty opinionated and I don't hold back on what I need to say most of the time. So it's a good thing and it's a bad thing sometimes, because you go to the driver's meeting and everyone wants me to speak up, say what I need to say. But I do that if I feel like, that needs to be brought up or whatever has to happen. I'm a veteran voice in the room. Everyone knows I'm going to say something if it isn't right. But yeah, it's racing for me. I think this is almost 22, 23 years I've raced, and that's, I don't think they realize I've been around that long. I mean, some people do, but I've been around for the good race and the bad race. And I've been to the tracks that got 8 cars in the lineup and been to the tracks that got 28 cars in the lineups. And anything that I can do to put more people, more asses in the seats to watch us and more people in the cars to help us. Like I do more now, I think, than I ever have for sure. And it's just trying to keep people in the sport. You see somebody dejected and they don't want to be there and they're not having that much fun. You just go over and make sure they're noticed, make sure that they, even if they are doing a good job or they're sucking ass, you still got to tell them, you still got to support them and then tell them it's not them, it's the car, or help them out. I try to do as much as I can with everybody now. And I'm also, I don't care who I'm talking to at the racetrack. Some of these guys are just, their noses are in the air and it drives me nuts. Like, who are you? You're just a short track Saturday night dude. Other than that, you go to work like the rest of us Monday to Friday. So, I talk to super stock guys. I talk to 4-cylinder guys. I talk to bone stock people. It doesn't matter who it is. If they come up, I give them advice. If they're doing something wrong that I see on the track, I try to help them. Like, I get on my 4-wheeler and anyone who wants to go out on the racetrack, I take them around. I take Jake at every racetrack we go to, and I take him usually every week at sunset. And I drive him around on the 4-wheeler or golf cart and I show him the line of where he's supposed to be out there. And, points to watch for, apexes, exits, where to be on the wall. And I did that this year with Cheyenne Reed, a friend of ours, and she's a female bone stock driver. Like, I don't see any late model guys walking down there to give any bone stock drivers any advice. And that's where I think we're going wrong, is we need to be doing that. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how many races you won. These people, they could win double what I win down the road, but they ain't going to do it without any help.
I couldn't agree more, man. It doesn't matter what you think your status is. It's I'm at that, been at that point for a bit where, whether it's being a race official, a track operator, a racer, whatever, I just feel that it's important, and it's upon, all of us need to take it upon ourselves to do the best we can to give back where we can, so definitely great points. I know you do that, and I'm happy you do, and I hope more people do moving forward, because like you say, everybody needs some help. I know I got a lot, man. I got a lot from some smart people and some accomplished people, so I'm fortunate, and it's important that we do the same thing for sure. Listen, I was thinking about this while we're talking, and I know it's, I don't know, a year ago or something, pandemic happened, all that stuff, but you were thinking about maybe trying some dirt racing. Where are you at with that program?
Be honest, backwards, upside down, and probably not going to go in that direction. I know a lot of people want to hear us that we are going dirt racing, and I really want to do it and try it out. But at this point, I have some really good stuff in the fire for what's going to happen in the next couple of years for us, I think. And it's came at probably the best time for me, because I was, looking at doing something else. I just felt like I had done as much as I needed to on asphalt, and I'm not going to go anywhere else. Like, what am I going to go do? Run some Pinty's races? And don't get me wrong about Pinties, but for, 20, 25,000 a race to be in a competitive car, because I'm not going to run last. I just won't do it. I might as well go down south and rent a super late and run the Snowball or run Winchester or run any of the big races down there. Your name will get more attention down there running in the top 5 than it will winning a Pinties race up here. And that's unfortunate because of where we're at, and the Pinty stuff on oval, it's nowhere near as competitive as it is on road course stuff. So it's just like you go to the road courses and a lot of the road course veterans, Lacroix is amazing there. There's tons of guys that are great on the road course stuff. So they come to ovals and it's just, there's 4 guys that are running it. So I'd rather go down south and try and throw something at that. But that could happen down the road for us for sure. But I mean, for now, it's just like the dirt. For one, I don't fit in the car at all. I can't. I tried moving pedals. I've been working on it. It's not that I haven't worked on it. People see me working on it. I've posted about it, but I put my seat in there and I can't get in and out of the thing. I'm not safe. I don't feel safe. And if I don't feel safe getting in and out of a car, then I just don't want to drive it anymore. I've been in enough race cars. I've been hurt in race cars that don't fit me. I've drove the cars with the short seats where your neck gets whiplash. I've been in the cars where the belts are at the wrong angle and busting your back. And I've raced so much, you run as much as I have, you're wrecked. You're going to be in some wrecks. And I've been in some hard ones. So at this point, it's just, I can't do that anymore unless I'm in a safe car. So if that dirt car doesn't fit me, the only way I think we can make it work is if I built a new one. And at this point, I don't know, it's probably too much for us just to go build a new car to do something I don't even know if I'm gonna like. So I think if that's something I want to do, maybe I'll rent from somebody like we do on the asphalt and we'll go have fun with it. But it's unfortunate. I know people wanted to see us do it. I wanted to do it. Eldon wanted to do it, but it was also a deal where we were pissed off again. My car owner's a lot like me. That's why we get along so good. Eldon Wallace has been amazing for me and spent, I don't even want to talk about how much he spent on me in the last few years, but we went to the Sunset meeting and they got rid of limiteds basically, we thought, and we're doing a pro late deal. And when all your friends go to grade 1, you don't want to be sitting in kindergarten, so we're back running a limited because we had spent oodles of money building a brand new limited to go win. And now he's mad. So he got on the phone with Kirk Hooker, and I think a lot of people know Kirk has the same attitude we both got. And so we come Kirk racing. And the next thing we bought Kirk Hooker's Florida cars, Pro Late, and that was the first one I ever had. I ran at Sunset, and very good car. And anyways, since that day, Kirk, we drank a few beers in his shop, and he likes that Jake calls me once in a while, and Kirk's calling at least once every week, once every 2 weeks, and talks to Eldon. So they got talking, and he talked us into buying this dirt car, and then that's how that whole thing ended up happening. So it's not over yet. I might go try it still, but at this point, I think we might try and sell the thing and focus on Jake and my racing. Hopefully, we can get some more sponsorship stuff together and continue doing what we want to do here. Because I'm not done yet. I feel like I can pave a few roads for Jake still, and still gain enough sponsorship and help, and that can transfer over to him. Everyone sees he's a good kid, he's doing well, and that's on us, and then maybe we move some stuff over to him and then just wash my hands and here you go, bud, and keep going with him. But it's going to be a long road, like Alex said. I don't want to push him. I'm not one of those hockey parents per se. I don't want to, we had sponsors. I want to buy him a brand new car for 4 cylinders this year and let him run that. And I'm not ready for it. I don't think he's not ready for it. And I say that because I ran 4 cylinders for a lot of years, and I got my chance with a guy to run a late model. And I got in the car, and I just remember not having control of that car. I felt like I didn't have the control that I needed in that car, and it scared me. And I don't want him to be like that. I want him to, when he gets in the car, he needs to be ready to be in that car. And I know there's a lot of kids out there, and when they listen to this, they're going to be like, damn, like, I was there, like my dad put me in the car. I wasn't ready. We see it. We know who they are out there, and they're not ready. They gotta, there's stepping stones in racing for a reason. I said that 100 times. There's stepping stones for a reason. And if you don't go through the right steps, then I'm not saying you can't win, but you're going to plateau at some point. And that's what I've always worked on my whole life, is just I never want to plateau. I want to keep going. I want to be better than the next guy and just keep working. That's my life. I watch racing. I watch videos. I watch lines. I watched 3 nights of racing at Flamborough before I went there, and I still didn't know the line around the track. So.
Should have asked me.
What's that?
You should have asked me.
Well, yeah, I should have maybe asked some advice for sure. But I was talking to JR. He did a couple things. I went out and practiced, and I couldn't go behind anyone. I went out and qualifying. I was in a weird group. I never even knew where to go around the place. So I got behind a couple guys when the race started, and I was like, damn, all right, well, that's where you turn in.
Well, listen, Rick, good luck with making those decisions with your bucket list. And we're going to do something now that we told you about earlier, and we have not done this with any of our guests so far, but let's do a little rapid fire here where I'm going to mention a topic, and you're going to give just a quick 2-second answer. How does that sound? You ready to go?
Sure.
Okay. All right, here we go. Tire doping.
Kills lives.
Testing.
Too much money.
Streaming.
Damn. It's good. It's good and bad.
Your favorite track to race on?
Kawartha.
Good answer. Best driver you have raced against?
Brandon Watson.
Coolest car you've ever raced so far?
McColl's House Super Late.
Eldon Wallace.
Hey, a sec.
Yeah.
Where did you race that Super Late?
Well, Kawartha was my favorite, but I won at Sunset, so I got to go with that one this time.
How was the Super Late heading down Kawartha wide open?
Well, when they had the shocks weren't, they had no read in the shocks the first time. I thought I was going to go to a new planet, but it was pretty fun. That's crazy.
Eldon Wallace.
Huge heart, best man in the world.
How important was it for our sport to get back to some normalcy this season?
Huge, and the fan support was massive at every track I felt.
Technology in racing.
Hurting it.
Importance of getting youth involved.
There's nothing more important.
Well, how about the last one? Family.
Huge, huge. I can talk about this one for a second.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for behind me and my kids, we've missed a lot of weddings. Everyone knows that, weddings and birthdays and Thanksgivings, and the things we've missed and the things we've given up to be at the track is pretty selfish of us. But when you got a support system behind you like I do, and a lot of pretty much every one of the racers that are there have that same support system, or they couldn't be there or wouldn't be there. But without them, there's no way I could do what I've done over the years ever without them, for sure.
Oh, that's great. Listen, I'm going to let Alex say goodbye, but thanks for spending some time with us today, Rick. Have a great off season and all the best to you next year.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for joining us on, I know you stole our name because we've had this name we've thought about having this name for 10 years. So, but glad we could have the original Driver in Deep on Driver in Deep, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's been amazing, guys. Thanks for having me.
We're wide open sideways.
All right, you're clear.
Talk is cheap.
You're clear on that.
We got the foot to the floor. We're gonna drive her in deep.